Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel again. Today, I'm going to discuss something important for the international medical graduates who are planning to come to Australia to work as GPs, to join the workforce of general practitioners in Australia. So there's a few ways of doing it, but I will discuss the main pathway for international medical graduates with some general practice experience back home, say India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, anywhere else other than Australia. The pathway is like standard pathway for international medical graduates to come as general practitioners. So I'll just discuss the standard pathway because there's another pathway like the competent authority pathway, which is for the international graduates from, say, UK, USA, Canada, and New Zealand. But my main focus today is about the standard pathway of joining general practice in Australia. So there's few steps. We'll start with the first step, which is your preparation to come to Australia. In your preparation, you need to, as you know, first and foremost is you should get the AMC Part 1 or the multiple choice exam through, first thing. And then even before that, I think I have mentioned this in the other YouTube channel, but I haven't taken this to this channel. Even before your AMC Part 1, you have to sort of create an EPIC account in your AMC portal and then get the primary source verification of your qualification, which is to get your qualification recognized so that the AMC can give you the multi-choice exam. So primary source verification, multiple choice exam, exam-wise, those two are needed. And then, of course, you need IELTS or OET. With those, plus we recommend, earlier it was always a compulsory thing, but this is now kind of recommended. That means you can come even without that. That's the FRACGP assessment of your GP experience. So you need to have, if I go back to summarize them, you need to have primary source verification done, then your AMC Part 1 exam, and then OET or IELTS English exam, and then RACGP experience assessment. Those are the things you need in preparation step. So for you to be eligible to apply for a GP position in Australia, you just need those things. At least AMC Part 1, English, primary source verification, and RACGP experience assessment is suggested. Even AMC Part 2, some people do AMC Part 2, but it's not compulsory. Again, recommended to have AMC Part 2 if you could, or if you come here and then you could decide whether you would like to go on that path doing AMC Part 2. It's not compulsory though. You could go to the fellowship pathway without the AMC Part 2, but it's recommended because that will give you the full registration early. So after these, you go to the second step of your application to become a GP in Australia, which is the PESCI. PESCI stands for pre-employment structured clinical interview. PESCI is, in short, PESCI means that, like pre-employment structured clinical interview. So you're supposed to get a pre-employment structured clinical interview done, which is a requirement by, again, AMC and APRA. But that is given by at least a few colleges, mainly the FRACGP, Royal College of General Practitioners, and also by ACRAM. I heard recently there is another, if I remember correct, it could be IME or something. So there's 3 bodies at least giving this pesky exams. So you, in the second step of your application, say after you qualifying, after you fulfilling your qualification requirement, then you have to do a pesky exam. I have discussed this in my other channel, but I will bring it to this channel too, how to do a pesky and how you prepare for pesky and things like that. So first thing, for after you're doing all this AMC and English and everything, you then apply for a pesky. For application of pesky, you generally required GP clinic offering your position, which you can discuss with the practice manager of a GP clinic or with the after contacting the GP clinic. So you get an offer and then you do a pesky exam. You will get a interview date. That's again, I'll just discuss these things. There's so many things to discuss around these, but I will discuss them in a different video. So you probably have to do a few videos on these things. So you get a pesky application and then you get an interview date. Then you ideally supposed to do an Australian observership, at least few weeks of observership in a GP clinic. And then you do the pesky interview. If you get through the pesky exam, then you will get the chance to come here. Then you go to the third step of your application process, which is immigration part. Immigration part got 2 parts into it. One is like immigration means your visa application part. So it got 2 parts into it. One would be completed by your employer, which is like what we call a sponsorship of your immigration. So that part will be submitted here by your employer. That's your GP clinic. And then the second part, you have to do it from your end, which is an online application process. For you to do that second part, first thing is your employer should submit the application for the sponsorship application, and then you need to get a registration through APRA. So for that, you need a application submission to APRA, and then APRA will go through. For that, there's other requirements like your supervisory arrangement and what level of supervision and who are your supervisors and things like that. In that form, you have to fill those by your clinic and yourself. I think it's called SPAA 30 from my memory, but I may be wrong, but I'll just correct it in that next other video about these things. So that form has to be submitted. Then the APRA will approve your application in principle, which is like saying, okay, in principle, we'll approve your registration. And then you go to the other part of the immigration, which is your application for the visa yourself with the employer's sponsorship. They will get what we call sorry, there's so many technical terms here, but if you are in the process, you'll find out these things easy. I think it's called a TRN number, transaction reference number. So that number will be given to you after your employer applied for visa sponsorship. With that number and the APRA's approval in principle, you can apply for your visa, which is the last step of your application. There's time periods for all of these. Generally, APRA registration will take about 4 to 6 weeks. Visa process would also be the same, roughly about 4 weeks. And then once you get your visa, you will come here and apply for other requirements, which are like your provider number, prescriber number, and other applications like area of need application or 19AB exemption application, those things. Most of those things your clinic will help as well. So in general, if you go back, you do your AMC, English, and then primary source verification, and then you apply for pesky. For you to apply for pesky, you should get a GP clinics agreeing to take you in, and then you apply for your clinic apply for the visa sponsorship, and then you apply for APRA registration. With that, APRA will give you a approval for registration in principle, and then with that you can apply for visa. After you apply for visa, you come here. Generally, after you coming here, your APRA registration will be confirmed by after you presenting in person to Australia, and then you will apply for provider number, prescriber number, and all those things. It may be too much for you, but I'm just going through all the processes step by step. The documents you require for application of these things would be current CV, certified copy of your passport, certified copy of your primary medical degree, evidence of internship, evidence of other training, then certificate of registration status, which is from your medical board in your country, and then AMC results, OET or English test results, FRACGP experience assessment, pesky results, then the letter of offer from your employer, and then the GP contract, and then the position description about that job. Then the supervised practice plan, as I said, for your APRA application. Then APRA registration and work visa, which is generally 482. I think this description gave you something about like this is like stepwise different steps for you to move to Australia as a GP. But there's a few other things in the process, mainly like different details about what's pesky, what involve APRA registration, what sort of processes involved in visa and things like that. I think it need to be covered in different videos. Otherwise, this could get really busy video. Okay, thanks again for watching me.